Hi, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Crush It in Sales podcast. Thank you in advance for joining me. I really appreciate it. I wanted to kind of do a follow-up to last week's podcast, which was about hits and misses, and spin it a little bit more towards gratitude. I've really noticed in the past week, and I say it with a chuckle as I share the story of the why, so much is getting put out there content-wise in regards to gratitude, more than I think I've ever seen before. I don't know if it's 'tis the season or it's just the messaging that's coming through, big magic, that type of vibe, which I totally believe in. But it is important. And at first I didn't think much of it because I embody gratitude, have always embodied gratitude. And in that aspect, I believe I've kind of been on autopilot in regards to gratitude. And I've really had to go, gosh, I'm on autopilot in regards to the gratitude and how I practice it, and that I feel like I always have gratitude towards everything and everyone. But can I level up my game? Number one. And then number two, I started to do a deep dive thinking about my husband, Ryan. And when I met him 16 years ago, and all the struggles with depression and low confidence and hating his job and pretty much hating his life, I think he would agree with that. And then how we've really come to this amazing place, 16 years later, lots of work in between that I've talked about, podcasted about, written about. And now he's at this place where he can easily give gratitude, speak in a formulated way that covers all the bases, not just, I have gratitude for nachos and cheese, because that's literally where we started. We literally started at me begging him, basically, I felt like it sometimes, what are you grateful for, Ryan? Like, you've got to give me something. Like, what are you grateful for? And it boiled down to like nachos and cheese. Not even me sometimes. Eventually the dogs became part of the gratitude, and the boat, obviously, good karma. But he just couldn't grasp the concept. And that's actually what I started thinking about, that's just really important. I do believe there must be a lot of people out there that don't practice gratitude regularly because they don't grasp the concept. Like, maybe it's just not ingrained in their design. Maybe they didn't grow up like that. I don't really know, right? You could probably do a survey and find out, do like an analysis on it. But at the end of the day, who really knows, right? Is it nature or nurture? Who really, really knows, right? I always just believe it's a combination of things. It's a combination of my human design. It's a combination of how I'm wired from my family, how different life experiences have affected me, what I've noticed, what I've been consciously aware of and decided to change. And that's what's the really important part to understand in this, right? Is what are you consciously aware of? And you're going to take time and not run on autopilot, but build the awareness and build the habits and the practices to change. And gratitude is one of those things. So I can look at it in regards to me and being like, okay, I've kind of been running on autopilot with my gratitude, but can I level up? Is there more that I can be thankful for? Can I do more reframing when something triggers me and shift that into gratitude? I do believe I can do a better job there. And if you're not doing it at all, can you be like my husband has been? And little by little, day by day, through changing habits and changing practices, now he understands and feels gratitude. And you have to feel it in your body. So there's a huge difference between saying a prayer or writing in your journal or saying something to someone and not really feeling it, right? You can feel that energetically. Like if you go, let's say, to a store, last night when I was volunteering at the Light Up Key Largo tree, we were talking about how like Chick-fil-A says, it's my pleasure, and stuff like that. And some places say you're welcome, and some places don't even say thank you. There's all that. And you can feel it, let's say, when you go to a store and the owner or the sales associate says thank you, but they don't really mean it, right? So that's just an example where you can relate to that and go, gosh, yeah, there might have been times when I've said thank you, but did I really mean it? Did I really feel it in my body? Or was I saying it when I was actually triggered and my nervous system was saying the opposite? These are all things to think about and consider. Not just on the baseline, right? And that's the conversation that's happening out there right now. That's what I see. And that's maybe why I kind of poo-pooed it, like, oh, it's just another gratitude, posting or meme or someone talking on a Facebook Live and sharing their story. But what's the deeper thoughts here, right? That's what I like to nip at. Like, what's the deeper, what's the contemplation? What are the layers? And what are the things that you can nip away at and go, gosh, you're right. I go to church and I say my prayer, but do I really embody that during my week, right? There's lots of people like that that just do something and then they move on from it. And they're not really like embodying the feeling, the whole process. They're just doing the thing. They like checked it off on the list. I said, thank you. Yep. I've been there actually. I'm having a flashback of a family member who I said, I'm sorry, but didn't really mean it, didn't really feel it. And you can feel that, right? Yes, you can feel that. You can feel when the energy is not aligned and they don't really mean it. And the same thing goes with gratitude. You can feel it when someone's not really grateful. So circling back to last week's podcast about the hits and the misses, I'm doing a deeper dive on this note, right? So I'm not being on my normal autopilot and I'm doing a deeper dive and really, really spending some time starting today. I'm going to sit outside. I just cleaned off my table. It's a beautiful day here in the Florida Keys. And I'm going to just really think about the things that have happened for me over the past year or two. I'm even going to go into 2020. And really go, yeah, I get it. I am grateful. I thought this sucked at the time, right? Or I mentioned something that happened in the Good Karma Success Coach podcast. And yeah, you think it sucks at the time, right? But it ends up happening for you and things end up working out. And if we all just trusted and believed in that and knew a little bit more each day, just a little bit more each day. Strengthen that muscle, because it's a muscle. Strengthen that gratitude muscle, that things work out and you're grateful for how it works out, then more magic will even happen. So try it out. Think about it in conjunction with last week's podcast. What are your hits and your misses? What are your lessons? And then sit even further, go one layer deeper there and relate it back to gratitude and sit and think about it and feel it. And then decide too, are you someone like me who's just been running on gratitude autopilot? Or are you someone like my husband who had taken 16 years to develop his own gratitude thoughts? Or maybe you're just in between and you're like, yeah, I could level up there too. So think about that and really just make a conscious effort. It's everything is awareness, people. Everything is awareness. You constantly have to rewire your brain. Constantly. You constantly have to rewire your brain. And it's work. It's work over time. It doesn't happen overnight. You'll see improvements for sure, little nips here and there, but then you'll find something else. And you'll be like, oh yeah, I can work on that too, right? And another thing that came to me was instead of focusing, this is something that I'm taking to the bank here, so I'm sharing it with you right away as another nugget. Instead of focusing, let's say, on trying to manifest, it's like you have this place in your brain where you want to do work, especially if you're a natural left brain person like me, even taking it to like the level of like I'm an Aries, I'm a human design generator, like all those things like whew, make this perfect storm of like overachiever, hustler, hard worker that I've had to work through, right? So you have to untrain your brain to be more right-brained and to let the thoughts come through, which I've done, but which is still work. Nothing's ever perfect. But then you have this level of, well, I do need to think of something, right? So shift it to gratitude. Gratitude is just this like all goodness thing, right? It's all goodness. You can't screw it up unless you're not in alignment. So in general, you can't screw it up, right? So if you find yourself overthinking about your hopes and your dreams and what you're trying to manifest, shift out of that mode, take the conscious effort to shift out of that mode and shift it into just being grateful for something. I think there's some mindset work there, some mindset shifting work there that can really help you evolve to the next level. And I'm keeping this in mind for myself. Like I walk the walk. I walk the walk. So, keeping that in mind instead of being like thinking about, oh, what else can I ask for, from the universe? Like, okay, let's just focus on what we're grateful for right now. One foot in gratitude, one foot towards the future. But I think for me personally, I probably need to spend a little bit more time in the gratitude. So just think about that from a conscious awareness level. And like, how are you balanced? Are you doing pretty good there? Like, that's the work, people. Again, that's the work. And that's what people don't do. That is what people don't do. So do that. You'll quantum leap faster. Everyone talks about quantum leaps. You'll quantum leap faster if you do this work, because that's where the real change is, and that's where the real transformation is. So I gave you a shit ton to think about. Sorry for swearing. If someone's offended to swearing out there. If I offended you, is what I'm trying to say. I apologize. But I did give you a lot to think about. So you might have to rewind this podcast and sit with a journal and take your time with it and think about these things and nip at it over time. Don't try to bite off a big chunk. Like that may not work for you. So just save this podcast, go back to it, listen to it, use it as a tool. And then if you are interested in further transformation, I have launched an amazing pre-recorded course so you can get started right away. You don't have to wait for a weekly Facebook Live and go, oh, when is she coming on again? Da, 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 da. No, you can get started right away, and it's Supercharge Your Transformation. It's only $222, and it's pre-recorded material where you're going to get inside my brain even further on this inner work. Because I don't care what anyone else says, you have to do the inner work to be successful in your business, in sales, in your life. They all go hand in hand. But if you're not doing the inner work, you can't possibly do a great job on the outside, the tactical work too. So this very affordable, pre-recorded 3-part series that has a little bit of homework, but nothing too overwhelming, just some really great tips and tools and some ways to apply them, is for you if you are ready to supercharge your transformation. So check it out. I will put the link in the show notes. And until next week, I hope you crush it in sales. Follow me on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. Thanks for listening.